Welcome. This is the Love Life Light Channel, a space for clarity without panic in an age of noise. My name is Jamie Thornberry, and I will be your narrator. Here, we slow things down, not to escape reality, but to see it more clearly. Let's begin. The West is a civilization drunk on the myth of the exit sign, demanding the right to define everything and the obligation to sustain nothing. The modern era is defined by the cult of the unencumbered self. We have weaponized permission, the right to opt out of reality, to disclaim consequence, and to remain morally superior while doing so. By conflating the removal of boundaries with the arrival of truth, the West has engineered its own obsolescence. We have built an elaborate architecture of rights that rest upon the foundation of nothingness, unable to articulate what we owe to the past or what we promise to the future. This confusion is not accidental. It is not the result of ignorance. It is the predictable outcome of a moral architecture that has replaced reality with preference, obligation with consent, and truth with narrative management. The modern world does not deny truth outright. It performs a more sophisticated maneuver. It fragments truth into domains, scientific, emotional, political, and personal, and then assigns authority selectively so that no single claim can threaten the whole. Power no longer announces itself. It cloaks itself in care. Nowhere is this more evident than in the modern discourse surrounding women, liberation, and social roles. The claim is simple. Women have been freed. The reality is more complex. Women have been unmoored. And what is unmoored does not float freely. It drifts until it collides with force. Modern ideology begins with a false anthropology, that the human person is self-originating, self-authoring, and self-justifying. From this premise follows the modern definition of freedom, not the capacity to fulfill a given purpose, but the ability to reject all purposes not personally chosen. This definition is not neutral, it is catastrophic. A person without obligation is not liberated, they are disembedded. A society without shared roles is not egalitarian, it is brittle. A moral system without non-negotiable duties does not become compassionate, it becomes arbitrary. Freedom is promised, load-bearing remains. The burden does not disappear, it migrates. It relocates from shared structures to private lives, from named roles to unnamed exhaustion, from public acknowledgement to silent endurance. It's 8:43 p.m. The office floor is empty except for the hum of fluorescent lights. A laptop remains open on a desk beside a half-eaten dinner pulled from a bag, cooling under the glow of unread emails marked urgent, while a calendar reminder pulses about daycare fees due tomorrow. No ideology is present in that room, only consequence. Across civilizations, women have occupied a structurally irreplaceable role, not because of ideology, but because of reality. Women bear life. They integrate relationships. They humanize institutions. They stabilize norms. They translate abstraction into flesh. This is not sentiment. It is observable anthropology. Modern discourse cannot tolerate this observation because it implies asymmetry, not hierarchy, but placement. And placement implies obligation. And obligation implies meaning that precedes consent. So the system reframes roles as oppression and offers liberation through interchangeability. But interchangeability is a lie. The modern system is built around male life patterns, continuous, productivity, abstraction, mobility, bodily disposition. When women are inserted into this system under the banner of equality, the system does not adapt, women do. Pregnancy becomes a logistical inconvenience. Care becomes outsourced. Fertility becomes a liability. Emotional integration becomes invisible labor. And when women strain under incompatible demands, the culture diagnoses pathology rather than contradiction. A phone glows blue in a dark room. An app counts down fertility days with clinical precision, while a career timeline accelerates forward, indifferent to biology's refusal to negotiate. This is not cruelty by intention, it is indifference by design. Modern power no longer speaks in the language of command, it speaks in the language of harm, safety, and care. Moral claims are not argued, they are diagnosed. Disagreement is not refuted, it is pathologized. This is the triumph of therapeutic individualism, a system in which moral truth is subordinated to emotional experience, and suffering is treated not as a signal of fracture, but as an injustice to be eliminated at all cost. But suffering cannot be eliminated. It can only be interpreted. When suffering is detached from structure, responsibility, and consequence, it becomes a currency. Whoever claims the most pain gains moral authority. Institutions then compete to validate pain rather than resolve causes. Care becomes performance. Validation replaces repair. Women are encouraged to narrate distress without being offered frameworks for meaning. They are heard, affirmed, documented, and then returned to the same conditions that produced the strain. A laminated poster in a workplace hallway lists mental health resources in calming fonts, while a scheduling system assigns overlapping shifts that no one with children can realistically manage. The system records stress. It does not ask why the load exists. Every civilization must answer one question. Who bears the load when things go wrong? Modern ideology answers the individual freely, autonomously, and silently. This is why anxiety spikes, why fertility collapses, why relationships fracture, why resentment simmers beneath performative confidence. Women are told that they are free from obligation while being asked to manage, full economic participation, primary caregiving, emotional continuity, sexual desirability, self-actualization, independence without dependence. No civilization has ever sustained this arrangement. None ever will. The system praises women for resilience while designing conditions that require it. A woman balances a laptop on one knee during a pediatric telehealth call, muting herself to answer a work message while nodding through instructions she has already memorized. This is not empowerment, it is load-bearing without acknowledgement. When roles dissolve, markets rush in. What care once required, services now sell. What kin once provided, institutions now administer. What meaning once organized, metrics now optimize. The market does not hate women. It is indifferent to them. It does not care about fertility, formation, or continuity, only throughput. Women are valuable insofar as they produce, consume, and symbolize virtue. Motherhood is praised in marketing copy and penalized in promotional cycles, praised in slogans and discounted in housing algorithms, calibrated for uninterrupted dual incomes. This is not conspiracy. It is a system following its own logic. And why the system can't admit this? Because to admit this would require conceding that freedom has limits, that equality does not mean sameness, that obligation is not inherently oppressive, that care is foundational, not optional, that reality precedes ideology. This would destabilize bureaucratic moral authority, corporate virtue regimes, and therapeutic moralism. It would expose the lie that power becomes benevolent if it speaks softly enough. So the system manages language. It floods discourse with abstractions. It replaces description with accusation and analysis with outrage. A panel discussion debates work-life balance beneath stage lights while no one in the room is responsible for a bedtime, an aging parent, or a child waking with a fever at 3 a.m. Noise replaces reckoning. Reality does not negotiate, it waits. You can rename roles, but consequences persist. You can deny structure, but fracture accumulates. You can liberate people from obligation on paper, but reality will quietly reassign it without apology and without consent. Women are not liberated from bearing the world. They were liberated from the structures that once made the burden intelligible, sacred, and honored. A grandmother's hands fold laundry at a kitchen table while no one visits anymore. The house quiet except for the dryer's thump. Her labor now invisible, unrecorded, and irreplaceable. This is the cost of denying placement. This is not a call to return to the past, it is a refusal to lie about the present. A civilization that cannot name who bears its weight will collapse under it. History is merciless on this point, and reality does not require our permission to reassert itself. Thank you for staying with the thought. If something here brought clarity, don't rush past it. Carry it into how you see the world, how you speak within it, and how you choose to act. Understanding is not passive. It asks something of us. Until next time, remain steady.